and gentlemen, welcome to another awesome episode of the Man Behind Ministry podcast. I'm your host, Minister Ryan Smith of the Virgin Street Church. As always, man, we got another awesome guest coming our way from the Camp Creek Church of Christ right there in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. Definitely excited to have him on, Minister Justin Wallace. Very, very good friend of mine. We go way back to when we were in college, man. So I'll never forget. Went to his hometown, and we'll get more into that here in a minute. But once we kind of linked up, met his parents, met his family, man, we've been thick as thieves ever since, man. So looking forward to the insight and knowledge that he's going to provide for us, Minister Wallace. We're not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Pastor Wallace, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. How are you, bro?
Doing well, man. Doing well, man. Appreciate you hopping on with us, man, and just contributing to this cause, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for providing the platform, man, for us to have a space where we can be real.
You already know. You already know. You already know how it
Yes,
goes,
sir.
man. You ready to get into this, man?
Let's do it.
Yeah. I mentioned in the intro, man, you was able to not only meet you, but I was able to travel to your hometown, man. You grew up in the dirty South, Mississippi, man. How did that shape your ministry growing up in Mississippi?
Um, Man, for one, it shaped my style. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
anybody who has ever heard me sing, anybody who has ever heard me preach, I
Mm-hmm.
preach with the Southern style, the
Yeah.
Mississippi style, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
It shaped my style, shaped my passion. I love helping people growing up in a small community. Starting out as a small congregation, we were very close knit, family
Right.
oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we would, reach out to different people in the community, it would be really on a family level, like the kids that you would see at church. You've seen them out in the community. You went
Mm-hmm.
knocking on that door, and they'd be like, you was at." Yeah,
Yep.
that was you. Yeah, that was
Yep.
me. And so, just building those type of relationships and being from a small town really impacted like my passion. So like, I'm not a minister and I don't do ministry for my own self, but just to serve other people, man. And so being from the dirty South, it teaches you, especially where I'm from, it teaches you how to care about others more than yourself. So it shaped my passion, my style, and my pursuit, man. My pursuit for ministry, I believe, was really shaped at West Oak Grove.
Okay.
Just before I ever picked up a microphone, I had a broom in my hand. And so, like, bro, I would get so angry. I'm trying to choose the right words.
I got you.
So angry with my pops because I'm like, why am I doing all this? Like, we got janitors for this. Like, why you got me, vacuuming a whole building, 13 classrooms, and I got to clean the bathroom too,
Right.
And so, man, that lesson taught me, bro, that ministry is about service. And he was teaching me through a physical entity the importance of service. And so it taught me to respect the house of God even more. So now when I come in to preach and sing and I'm in the house, it's like, okay, yeah, it's time to go to work. I'm here to serve, And so, man, it really impacted my ministry and shaped my mentality as I look at ministry. It's about people in service, bro. That's what we
Love it.
do every day. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. One of the things I gathered managing a nonprofit in my collegiate years was you're a leader, but one of our positions we were called servant leaders. So yes, you're leading, but you lead as you illustrated through service. So,
Right.
and you could definitely tell those years were formidable because it definitely manifested in your own ministry personally. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure congregation where you're at Camp Creek, man, they can appreciate that as well.
Oh yeah, man. It's here at Camp Creek. It's an interesting dynamic. When I first got here, I mainly saw a lot of gray hair, older people, and so one side of my style, if you see me in the pulpit, is going to be a traditional feel.
Yeah.
But in conversation with like my generation, younger people who come in, they find out like, oh, he actually cool. Like he
Mm-hmm.
can get down on my level. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, Camp Creek gets the best of both worlds, bro.
Nice. Nice. Love it. Love it. Also, when you just talk about just you and just your upbringing, man, one of the things you mentioned your dad, and with that, you're a second generation preacher. Talk about that experience of being the preacher's kid. You know, we already know how it goes, man. They say the PK are the worst ones, man. Kind of tell us about your experience in being that infamous PK.
Yo, yeah, I was that kid. I was that kid. I was literally the preacher's kid. So,
Yeah.
hey, I wasn't like a bad kid. I didn't go looking for trouble or nothing, but I would push the book, bro. But you know, you would hear, you know, preachers' kids are the worst ones and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
man, growing up, my parents, they didn't set us on a pedestal.
Okay.
Uh, they did not, you know, raise us to be better than anybody else.
Right.
They never treated us as if we were better than like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are a kid just like any other kid.
Right.
So, and I believe that's what helped me out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as a preacher child, is knowing that I'm able to make mistakes. You know, and my parents, once you got a certain age, I do have old school parents, and
Yeah.
so, you know, we had to be home, street lights, all that stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I
but
know.
once we got older, like, you know, like 16, 17, man, we were able to make a few choices. And, you
Yeah.
know, one thing my pops always preached, you know, you got freedom of choice, but not of consequence.
Yeah.
And don't make me look like a fool out here in these streets.
Hey, I know that's right.
And listen, whatever you do, don't bring nothing to this house. You know, and we respected that because of who he is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
who you see on Sunday morning is who you see Monday through Saturday with my pops. My pops does not change for anybody. That's why for me, I have more I have more respect for my pops now than ever. Like being a young preacher and seeing how some cats move, you know, pop straight up and down. If
Yeah.
he going left, he gonna go left. If he gonna go right, he gonna go right. You know, and so
Yeah.
him being that way and in the pulpit, you know, and at home really was a blessing, man. But of course, you would hear all the different things out in the streets, and some of them were true because I just be honest, I was a rebellious little child. So
Well, they say, and I'm a witness, and we on the same. They say your youngest child normally that's gonna be the one that's gonna try to push the
yeah,
envelope a little bit. So I'm the youngest in my family too. So I many times
hey,
I
hey,
didn't put a
man, they
couple
say
gray
that the
hairs on
worst
my
one.
mama there. Yep.
Listen, the worst ones make the best preachers.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
I'm a witness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah. This I definitely like I said, I appreciate just your parents and your dad's definitely about service. He's definitely hospitable. Not just your dad but your mom as well.
yeah,
I remember getting there while y'all were in school. Mom making breakfast. I remember the whole spread, molasses, everything, man. And I was just
yes,
like,
sir.
yeah, I can get used to this, man.
Homemade biscuits, man. And
Mama
listen,
threw down.
yes, sir. And see, mom, you know, my mom and dad, they would like if people came, you know, came into town, you know, they invite them over and stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
We even had, you know, different, you know, troubled youth or youth that were in different situations, man,
Mm-hmm.
used to move in with us, you know, and so
Yeah.
we were raised in that type of household where, you know, my dad on the Sunday, it wasn't nothing for like my whole street to be filled with church members' cars.
Mm.
The little house you came to, we used to have about 25 to 30 church members in that little house just
Wow.
coming to eat dinner on Sunday morning. And a lot of preachers, you know, don't do that, you know, and
Yeah.
so seeing that really, you know, influenced me as a preacher's child coming up too.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Also, just um, being the child of a minister and growing up in a minister's household, ministry it's about service. It's also about talent, man. You got to be talented, man. And you're not only a great preacher, man. You also a great singer. So you one of those singing preachers, man. But from one to the other, man, we know they don't always get a good rep either, man. a lot of times with holding the moniker of singing preacher, that always comes with a negative connotation, man. What would you kind of say to those critics, man, who, maybe some jealousy involved, or may not understand, just the level of giftedness with being a dynamic preacher as well as a singer?
I mean, bro, like just to start with this answer, I would literally tell the ones who are jealous and envious,
Mm-hmm.
like just appreciate the gift you have.
Yeah.
And if you want to sing, like if you want to be talented in another area, then you gotta craft that. If you want it, craft it,
Yeah.
build it. Uh, guy named I know you know this preacher named Jasper Williams did a whole class on hoopology, and he even said I was not the best hooper. He could not hoop starting out, but he said he trained himself to do it. So my exactly,
race boy.
And he teaches it. You see what I'm saying?
You gotta don't level out.
Right, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Because if you level out, it's over.
You ain't got nowhere to go.
Exactly. And so, man, you to the guys who are like really struggling, which is interesting, but if that's what it is, like craft a skill. Like if you want to sing, take singing lessons. Stephanie Booker Wilson offer them all the time.
Stephanie sings. Hey, the plug. It's right. Hey,
come on, it's right here. Yeah. Like, so stop hating on me. Stop hating on you.
Yeah.
And craft that skill, man. Before I ever started preaching, I was singing. And so I learned how to lead people, in worship before I ever opened the sacred desk to open the scriptures and speak to them what is coming from God. So, I learned how to lead people to God through song before I ever did through the word. And so, so I had to find that defining balance between the two. People would call me a singing preacher, preach and sing. Either one of them, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it well. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is because God has blessed me with these gifts. And, and so as long as we remember, and this is the word for me and you, is just remember who it came from. And like how I feel about it, bro, on a Sunday morning, it's like, God, I can't let you down. Like, I just can't. So whatever I sing, I'm going to sing hard. Whatever I preach, I'm going to preach hard because it's for your glory. That's but, right. Man, to the haters and all them, man, look, just call Stephanie Sings, get the lessons.
Yeah.
And, let's make it happen.
We're going to have to tag Stephanie Sings in this episode, man. Like, yo.
For real. Hey, we found the solution.
Don't be jealous. Call Stephanie Sings.
That's it.
Love it, man. Love it, man.
Yes, sir.
MBM fam, what's going on? Just want to hop in the episode for a quick minute and give a special shout out to one of the young adults of the congregation, my boy, Kevin Gordon Jr. He is the creator and designer of Friend or Foe Studios. He does music. In fact, my boy recently launched his own clothing line. He actually designed this dope Kanye West shirt that I'm rocking in tonight's episode. There's two things that I love about this shirt. Number one, it's Kanye. If you know me, you know how I feel about my boy Ye. He is an awesome talent, artist, and musician. Secondly, is the overall quality, build, and design of the product. It's just an overall good feel, overall good product. Kevin's got many, many items in his shop like this and more in stock. Support my boy, Kevin Gordon Jr., creator and designer of Friend or Foe Studios. And yeah, I've got his link in the description. Let's hop back to the episode. Peace. Ministry, man. I mean, it requires a lot. We talked about, being a servant. We talked about just the talent, the giftedness of singing, man. But also, we know ministry requires study, requires a lot of reading, and we know obviously we dive deep into the Word of God, but we know, especially in the modern realm of ministry, one of the tools that always helps us, or facets, is just reading outside of the sacred text. That helps us get a different perspective, man. So outside of the sacred text, what's some of the books you're reading? What's kind of aiding you in ministry?
Man, just to give you a quick three. The first one is a book entitled Hermeneutics by Henry Virkler. Okay. My mentor gave it to me, a few years ago. And so I'm really reading it, kind of refreshing my mind as it relates to, a proper hermeneutic That way, I'm not saying something that the text is not saying, because I always want to stick true to it. Another book that I've read and I'm rereading is Destiny by T.D. Jakes. It's a book that talks about the power of purpose, but also being in a position to where God can reveal to you where He's taking you and what He's trying to do. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me and possibly for others, is to have the solid foundation of understanding what the Word says, you know, and then positioning yourself for God's revelation. And then the last book, man, I'm reading is called Urban Apologetics by Dr. Eric Mason. He's the pastor of Epiphany Fellowship. And so, like, bro, it's really speaking to the necessity to restore Black dignity within Christianity. And so, you know, I don't want to like go off too far, but like that's something that I'm big on. And I find myself more and more looking at different books such as The Cross and the Lynching Tree, Woke Church by Eric Mason, Crossing the Lynching Tree by Dr. Cone, and just looking at certain books that speak to us, and not to say that, you know, we exclude anybody. It's just, you know, there's a need in our community and our culture for Christianity within the Black community to have that presence that it once had. And I think right now, if we take an honest look at what's going on, Christianity is really taking a back seat in our communities in America. And so that's why I read those, you know, I gave you those 3 books. It's because if we're not careful, we're going to continue to westernize and bastardize Christianity. And what we will do is not be able to see the purpose and revelation of God for the church.
Right.
And then we do a disservice to ourselves to think that Christianity and the gospel is not for Black people. And so, so man, that's kind of my logic and reasoning behind where I am right now.
No, that's real. And I want to encourage us, like, you know, don't be afraid to read outside. I know we have gifted individuals and scholars, and you know, in the church and Church of Christ, but don't be afraid to navigate outside of that, man. I mean, there are some awesome dynamic tools that will aid and help us, man. I mean, you mentioned, Dr. Cone, awesome resource, awesome individual.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't, you know, mainly don't limit yourself,
right?
Know, especially when we talk about the church or our perspective of it ministering to us or speaking to us. And let's be free. In Western civilization, we have to be mindful. We know the line goes, oh, well, I don't do church. That's the white man's religion.
Right.
You know, that was an aid to slavery. Let's be for real. Yeah, it was. I ain't gonna sit there and tell you it wasn't, because it was. So we
no
being transparent. We're not gonna lie to you.
It was a tool of oppression.
It was.
They used it as a tool of oppression, bro.
Right.
If we're gonna be honest about the whole thing, after the transatlantic slave trade, they used it as a tool of oppression. But that's not what it was designed for.
Right. Christianity
and
originated well before the Atlantic slave trade.
Come on, man. Like, the first established church was come on. Like, and what bothers me is, like, you got guys like on YouTube and saying all this stuff, like, and our people are being bamboozled.
Yep.
It's like, well, I believe in God, and I've heard this so many times, bro. I believe in God, but that Christ thing and church thing, I just can't do. Well, how you gonna do a God thing without God? That's what I told the church Sunday. Like, don't you know, like, you know, God is Christ, and then you are the church that God lives in.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, how you gonna do a God thing without God? Come on, man.
Yeah, you can't be
like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, you can't be a part of the creation of God without acknowledging the Creator. It just doesn't make sense. So,
right,
I mean,
and that's something
that's another episode.
Yeah, because we'll stay on that all night, bro.
That's a whole
these folks trip me out there here, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Nah, I get it. You look at ministry, I mean, there's so many levels to it. Obviously, growing up in the home, being the son of a minister, growing up in that home, you learn so many things. But I can say the same for you, probably as you saw with your father. Outside of ministry, there has to be some time where you kind of unwind, where you try to relax. Because ministry, man, is stressful, man. If you let it, I mean, this cat's dying over the ministry, man. And I'm all about being a living sacrifice. However, hey, man, I'm not about to be stressed out over this thing, man. You know, I believe in making that sacrifice and being committed to it. But in order for us to still be effective, you know, we have to consider also our health, man. So what are some things you do to kind of de-stress when you're not preaching, when you're not reading, when you're not studying, doing visitation? What are some things that you do to kind of just relax?
Well, man, first of all, cooking. I love to cook. Trying out different recipes, you know, looking online, and then I ask my mom for some of her recipes, you know, just cooking. I call it like grill therapy. Like it's therapeutic for me to get out there, get on the grill, you know, grill some steaks, chicken, whatever, you know. Not only that, but movies. Like this my pop's fault. So, you know, if he wasn't busy, if he didn't have anything to do, we would like literally watch westerns together. And you know, one of my favorite westerns now, I just watched it Saturday. I ain't have too much to do. But I watched Tombstone, you know, man, just sitting there relaxing. And another thing I love to do, man, I love live music. I love like R&B, jazz, neo soul music, and especially the blues. And so, man, I like to go to different spots and, you know, check them out and just listen to some good music, man, and vibe and just kind of process everything, but not let it consume me. Because for a long time, before I moved to Atlanta, this is crazy, my first vacation was in Atlanta. I just took that vacation this year. So in 7 years, I hadn't had a vacation at all. So you know how like preachers be talking about sabbaticals and stuff. Now, boy, I don't know what that is. So coming from Mississippi, coming from like a ministry like my pops, like in almost 40 years, he never had taken a sabbatical or nothing. Now, you know, that's something I'm gonna do different. But because it was so relaxing, so freeing just to be able to put my phone on do not disturb and just have that time, like that whole week for myself.
Right.
You know, and that don't mean I don't love the people of God. I don't, you know, care. It just means that like I need to care about me before I,
self-care,
you know,
man. Self-care.
Right. It's a lot of people dealing with it's a lot of preachers like dealing with like a whole lot of like mental health and all. We got to take that time for ourselves, man.
Yeah, I mean the same way members, they go on vacation.
Right.
I mean, Pastor, I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, all right. But then when we say, I'm gonna take a sabbatical for 2 weeks, what are we gonna do? Hey, man.
Right.
figure it out. You know?
Same thing I do.
Straight up, man. You know what I'm saying? The same way y'all can have some self-care and have moments to relax, man. Hey, man, the man of God needs it as well. And that's what this is about, man. It's just letting cats know, man, like, yes, we have a high calling on our lives. But underneath that calling, we're still human. We have needs. We stress. We feel things. We go through every gamut of emotion that everyone else does. You know, so we just have to handle it differently, man. So I appreciate that. Nice. Again, that's what it's about. Is just improving that relationship between minister and member, between pastor and people. And before we wrap this thing up, man, I want to just give you time to get some insight or advice on how can we improve the relationship between minister, member, and pastor and people. And that's not necessarily just church people. That's just anybody. You know, we talked earlier, there could be somebody watching who's like, you know, I don't really do the God thing, or you know, I'm more spiritual than I am religious. You know, we know what we say today. You know what I mean? And so, you know, what would you say to kind of help aid us in, you know, in that dynamic?
I think number one, man, is as a pastor, as a minister, the first thing is to be honest with people. But let your honesty and your relationship building have boundaries. Let nobody ever get to the place in your life as a minister to disrespect your position.
Okay.
Because when they disrespect your position, ultimately they disrespect you because that's who you are.
Right.
But sometimes, and what I've learned in my life, I can't speak for everybody else, is that, you know, in certain relationships with certain people, you have to have like boundaries to protect your peace and to protect your space as the man of God. But on the flip side of that, because I know that sounded crazy, but the flip side of it is that I'm going to provide a space for people to get close enough to me to know that I am human, you know, to know that, you know, I'm not this superhero, you know, coming to rescue everybody. No, when I go home, like I cry just like you cry, you know. My bills come out every month just like yours come out, you know.
Definitely do.
All right.
Pay the man of God.
You know, you did.
Put that plug in there.
Right.
Pay the man of God.
Phone bill due tomorrow. Just saying. So we people, man, we human just like everybody else, bro.
Yeah.
And like I think sometimes when people only see us on Sunday morning, it's like, man, he's so awesome. You know, he got to be walking like this. He got to
money,
be doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he got money. No.
Right. He got to. Don't show up with a new coat or a new suit. Oh, boy, we pay. You know, listen, man. Listen, bro. We ain't even gonna touch that tonight. That's a whole different conversation. But what I will say is people look at you on that stage and like they have in their mind this preconceived expectation that this he can't be like that or he can't do that.
Right.
No, we have to understand that every man that God used, almost every man that God used in the Bible, had their own humanity flaw. Like we all have our flaws, but you know, at the end of the day, we have to be honest as ministers, and also members have to be, you know, more patient in their response when the man of God reveals his human side. You know, like I know some preachers, man, that love, like, you know, skating and dancing. I know some preachers that, you know, I'm talking about like can play instruments. Like they got different, and their members like was like, what? My preacher? And sometimes it's healthy for that. You know, that's healthy boundaries. That you know these things about your pastor, because now, okay, so I know pastor look like he been dealing with something, and so his thing is music. So let me go, like let me shoot him this song right here. You know, but if you don't build that relationship, people won't ever know that there's something that you enjoy. But man, just learning to love, like learning to love the man of God. I hear that, you know, in so many circles, you hear, you know, and I'm not talking about preachers who've been preaching like 40 years. I'm not talking about somebody like my pops. So, you know, within the framework of our fellowship, if you've been in long enough, you know, you pretty much golden and you good. But I'm talking about like preachers who like our age, and you know, we coming into ministry, and you know, you're pastoring to older people, you're ministering to older people. It's like, listen, love all your pastors, regardless of his age, because if you got a real preacher, a real man of God, a real minister, he's going to love you regardless. But sometimes a real minister don't get that love back, and that's, you know, that's one reason why I'm thankful for Camp Creek. I'll put that plug in there too. I am thankful for where I am because they do love on me, and I can feel it. You know what I'm saying? And so, but you got some ministers, and this is a word to the ministers: be a man of God. Like, do your job. Like, do what you've been called to do. You know you got to go visit them. You know you got to go. You know you got to move and do all of these things for the benefit of the people that you serve. The people. Like, you can't expect the people to love you, and you ain't even trying to love them.
There you go.
All you and that's a whole different conversation. But for the ones that just want to get up on Sunday morning, holler and hoop, and that's it, and you ain't spend no time with nobody, that's it. And that's all you want to do. Nah, man, it's deeper than that, bro. You know, when you and when people know that you love them, they'll listen to you. They'll follow you. A lot of us younger preachers are fighting right now because people don't know that you love them, and they know when it's sincere and when it's not sincere.
Surely, surely.
They know when you just doing it just for show. They know when you just doing it to put on as if you do. And like that's, I honestly believe the church, the congregations would be better if it was a high level of respect for the man of God's position, a level of love that's unmatched between pastor and people,
Mm-hmm.
and a level of honesty that's
Yeah,
unmatched between pastor and the people. Like we
yeah,
gonna make mistakes, we
yeah,
gonna fall short, but at the same time, like let's not castigate each other. Like let's not cut each other. Let's not tear each other down. Like let's
yeah,
build each other up. You know. And so
yeah.
that's my word to the people, man. Love on your pastor and pastor love on your people, man.
Love it, love it. Couldn't have said it any better myself, man. Man, we appreciate you so much, man. Wrapping up this particular episode of the podcast, man. Before we let you go, man, tell us how can we find you? You're right there in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. How can the people find you in the church, man, if we're looking for you?
Yes, sir. If you're in the city of Atlanta, we at 2400 Merck Road, Southwest Atlanta, 30331, Camp Creek Church of Christ. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube, Camp Creek Church of Christ.
Love it, love it, love it. Again, man, Pastor,
Appreciate
you blessed us, man. Appreciate you, man, just taking time away. I see you in the office right now, man. So just the fact that you cut out some time to go ahead and bless us, man. Personally, man, I appreciate it. I know those who are viewing, either here live or even on the replay, man, are going to be blessed by this conversation tonight, man. Bless you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. That concludes this, man. Remember, if this has blessed you in any way, like it, subscribe to this page, so that way whenever we release this content, you'll be the first one to get it. We broadcast live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And sit in. We'll see you next week. Peace. Bless you, bro.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Yeah.